it's Jennifer and welcome back to my Flagstaff home. I am here today to show you something kind of unique that you can do with spaghetti squash. Now, anybody who has grown spaghetti squash knows that, if it's a good year, you can have a ton of squash. Well, if you love spaghetti squash, then I'm sure that you're just excited to be overflowing with it. But if you like it, but you're not in love with it, you kind of wonder, what in the world am I going to do with all the spaghetti squash? And you start giving it to your friends and your neighbors, and pretty soon they start running from you when they see you coming with it. But I have a really great recipe to share with you that will change up your spaghetti squash, and you won't even know you're actually consuming spaghetti squash. Now, let me just say really quickly, one thing you can do with it. Now, it will store. If you store it in a cool, dark place, it will last a while, but it will eventually go bad. You can cook it, and then you can scrape out all of the little strands that are in there and then freeze serving size amounts of it. So if it's just one person or two of you, you can, freeze them in little quart size bags. And then when you're ready to have something with spaghetti squash in it, you can, thaw out just that amount. So that's one thing you can do. But what this video is really about is spaghetti squash soup. And it's not soup that has strands of spaghetti squash in it. No, 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 no. This is smooth and creamy. And you will know when you're eating it that you're eating a squash soup, but no one will ever say, "Is this spaghetti squash?" They just won't, because it is so different from what spaghetti squash is like. All that to say, I'm going to show you how to make it. And so let's take a look. So you're going to start by cooking your spaghetti squash. I like to cook mine in the microwave. It's just a whole lot easier. You don't have to try to cut through this hard, outside. And so what you do then before you put it in the microwave is you rinse off the outside, dry it off, and then I punctured it 8 or 9 times just so that there's puncture holes around the whole thing. Put it on a dish, and then I'm going to put this in the microwave for 12 minutes. And at the end of 12 minutes, it will be ready. This just came out of the microwave, and you can see that it definitely needed venting. I had it in there on a plate, and then I've moved it to the cutting board. I'm going to let this cool down just a little bit so that I can touch it, and then I'm going to slice it lengthwise, and then it will be time to take out the seeds and the pulp in there. So I cut it open, and this is what it looks like. And now I'm going to take a spoon and scrape out the pulp and the seeds. Seeds just slide right out. So then all you do is take a fork now and scrape out the strands of the spaghetti squash, and off you go. All right, so here is the cooked spaghetti squash, and I removed the pulp and the seeds, and then I took a fork and scraped it just like you would for a regular spaghetti squash. But then I'm going to take all this stuff and just dump it in a big pot. Add a grated carrot and about a cup of sliced celery. I also added in about a half a cup of onions, some salt and pepper, and I think that like a splash of lemon at the end might taste good, but I'm going to hold off on that and add that later. And there are 6 cups of liquid in here. You can use chicken broth. I used vegetable broth. And then I'm just going to bring it to a boil and then turn it down to a simmer. So now I'm going to simmer this for about 30 minutes just so that the vegetables that I added in there are tender. And then you can either put it in a blender or use an immersion blender to make it smooth, because what you want is not this soup with a lot of texture. What you want is an absolutely smooth, creamy soup. Here is the finished soup. You can see it's nice and smooth. And I'm going to let it cool down. I could eat it right now, or I could put it in containers and freeze it to have for another time. I wanted to mention one thing. I tasted it, and it seemed like it was maybe a tiny bit too salty. So I would maybe take the
2 teaspoons of salt and cut that back to about maybe a teaspoon and a half or 1 teaspoon, and then try it for yourself and see if you need to add any more. Thing, I just now added a little splash of lemon juice. It was probably about a teaspoon, and then stirred it up, and it's nice. I wouldn't want to add a lot to it, but it gives a nice little bit of zip. And so there you go. I hope you guys try this. Well, there you go. It's really a pretty easy recipe, but several times throughout the winter, I'm going to be able to have a squash soup from just this one spaghetti squash. So anyway, hopefully you liked this video, and I would love to have you join me on My Flagstaff Home in the future. And so if you're not a current subscriber, hit that subscribe button, and also the bell icon, and YouTube will let you know when I upload new videos. So take care, and I hope I'll see you again on My Flagstaff Home. Bye-bye.